Hi, ladies. All right, so since I always get a lot of questions about how I apply my nail wraps, I figured I would show you guys an updated video so that you can see exactly how I do it. I'm not just going to walk you through application, but also nail prep because that is just as important. And if you don't do it properly, you're not going to have a nice lasting manicure. All right, so first things first. You need to get rid of your invisible cuticles. As you can see, I've already done my hands almost all the way. I've left these two just so that I can show you for demonstration purposes. I cannot say enough good about our cuticle remover pen. It's amazing. It's this really great little brush that you turn it to click it, and then you just kind of paint it right onto your cuticles and you let it sit for a minute. And then you use an orange stick to gently scrape all the yuck back. And it works so nicely. It just breaks up all of that invisible cuticle sitting on top of your nail. And it gives you a nice clean work surface. Once you've removed your invisible cuticles from all your nails, if you have really bad ridges or maybe some damage from removing a salon mani or something to that effect, you can feel free to use a buffer block and lightly buff them. But otherwise, you really shouldn't have to worry about that. Once that is done, and you've done your invisible cuticle removal and your buffing, if you're going to do it, you need to wash your hands. It's best to use a really nice degreasing dish soap, just to make sure that it really gets rid of all those oils. I myself use Dawn. And I will give my hands a really good wash up, paying close attention to my nails and the skin and cuticle area around them. But I also have a little toothbrush that I use just for my nails because I don't think you'll be able to see it. But I actually have domed nails. That's when your nail rounds both this way and this way. You can't see it so well because of the way I file them, the shape. It kind of masks it. But they're not only domed, they're also slightly oily. I didn't know oily nail beds were a thing, but they are. And they can affect your application if you don't take care of it. So I have a little toothbrush that I use just for when I'm scrubbing up my nails, and I will put some Dawn on it, and I really scrub all around my nail beds, really, really well around the cuticle area as well. And then when I'm done, I dry my hands with a paper towel instead of a kitchen towel. That way there's no previous oils or debris or anything getting on my nails again from using a kitchen towel. Then I come over to my workstation, and if you do have oily nail beds, there's a few things you can do if you're not sure if you have them. If a good indicator might be if you have lifting problems with your wraps, even though you seem to be washing your hands really well. So if you do, there's a couple of things you can do for it. You can some people like to use white vinegar, and they will wipe their nails down with white vinegar. Another really popular method is the black tea soak, where you can soak your nails for several minutes and it really helps to pull out all the oils. Or I personally just use a cotton pad, which this is not, it's a piece of paper towel all out, and then just a little bit of regular rubbing alcohol. And what I do is I wipe down all of my nails really well. If you don't have oily nail beds, just go ahead and use one of the prep wipes or a cotton pad with some of the nail prep cleanser. So I wipe them down really well with a rubbing alcohol. And then I use a Q-tip because, again, I have oily nail beds. And I go back in and I scrub down my nail beds. I really pay close attention to the cuticle area and on the tips so that I don't have any oils left there that will lift on me or cause my wraps to lift. And I wipe them down. Okay, I'm going to turn on my heater. I apologize, it's a little noisy. I've dropped it a few times in the couple of years I've had it, but it still works great. All right, so nails are prepped, ready to rock. Now, when we are getting ready to do our wraps, I've already kind of pre-cut mine. They come on this nice big full sheet. when you're ready to use your wraps, you cannot just peel them off and handle them, because if you yuck up this backing, the adhesive side, it won't stick to your nails, and you really want, whoops, let's turn that a little bit. You really want them to stick because these are non-porous and they create this amazing watertight seal so that they last. If you get this backing all yucky, it's just not gonna be pretty. You'll have lifting, it might come right off. Just trust me on this. So the best thing to do is to use an orange stick. And then you can gently catch it on the corner and lift it up. So that way you're not using your fingers to touch it at all, and you're not getting anything dirtied. Now, what I do is right before I apply each wrap is I go back in and I push my cuticles way up. And I do this so that I can ensure I have a nice gap around my nails, or around my wrap's edges. Are you all, I'm assuming everybody is familiar with the phrase, don't fear the gap. If you're not, let me quickly explain that to you. Let's see if you can see this at all. Around your wrap's edges, you want to make sure that you leave a sliver of nail visible all the way around. You don't want to put your wraps on and have it overlapping any skin or cuticle, because you'll have a way for moisture and oils to get in, and it's going to break up that adhesive, and your wraps, again, they're going to lift, they'll come off, it won't be pretty. So don't fear the gap. Make sure you leave just a little sliver of nail visible all the way around. That way it lies flat against your nail and it sticks beautifully. Alright, so now that I pushed my cuticle back up, because of my oily nail beds, I wipe it down once more with the rubbing alcohol, make sure it's dry. And then I place it. I don't heat my wraps first, I place them on cold, because they're stiffer and it's easier to position them, or reposition them, I should say. If you find that you don't have it in the right spot, you can just carefully unstick it and move it. This is my hardest, my index nails are the hardest to do because they are my most domed nails. Now I know I'm touching it with my nails towards the back, but I am grabbing it in a spot where it's not even going to touch my nails, period. Alright, so once I have my wrap where, oops, almost, where I want it, as you can see, I'm just kind of touching it down to see where it's going to fall, to make sure it's even. Whoops, bear with me. Like I said, this is my most problematic finger. It drives me nuts. Whoops. Okay. There we go. Alright. Now, let it see where it's going to fall. And I have room on both sides. So now, after all of that, we heat it. We're not going to cook these wraps. You don't want to heat them so that your finger gets hot. You don't want to feel any discomfort. You don't want to just blast it and blast it and blast it. Just a quick burst of heat. I'll count it out for you. And then we're going to do the 1, 2, 3 method as far as smoothing goes. So 1, 2, 3. That's all I do. And then here's the 1. I push down at the base and slide it all the way up the center. Okay, all the way up the center of my nail. That's the 1 in the 1, 2, 3 method. This method is really great for flat nails and for domed nails because it kind of helps the wrap just kind of like shrink wrap to your nail. It custom fits it much easier than just trying to mash it all down. You go back in, just a quick burst of heat. Because mine are domed, I kind of pull it back on that side and then forward on this side. And I don't know if you can see, but it's nice and smooth on the edge. There's no wrinkling, which is amazing, especially for us domed ladies. Here's the 3. I hope I didn't say 3 before I meant the 2. Do the same thing on this side. Check it out. Can you see any of that? Give it a good rub. No wrinkling on a domed nail. I warm it again just for a second, and then because these are heat and pressure activated, just run it over with the awesome cuticle pusher and get a nice good seal on it. That's that. What I like to do next is come in with my cuticle scissors and trim the end so I don't have it just hanging all over the place, because since I have oily nails, I don't like to leave anything to chance. I don't want anything to get caught and get debris underneath. Once you do that, you can finish it off with the baggy method. This is what I'll do. Again, quick burst of heat, not very long. That's it. It gives it a nice little extra blast of heat, and since you're pulling with the baggy over your nail, it just kind of seals it all down. Now, my edges or my tips aren't done, but I'm gonna let them cool. I'm not going to file them or anything else right now. Let them cool. That way the wrap really gets a chance to settle on your nail better, and it won't lift or anything else as you're trying to file it down. So, move on to the next nail. We'll do the same thing. I'll talk a little bit less during this one. Okay. I go in, wipe it once more so it's freshly wiped. Push back my cuticles way back because I like a nice close fit, but I still make sure I leave the gap. Always, always mind the gaps. Let's get this up. Okay. And then placing, whoop, I have a little something on there. Close, but not touching. Hopefully I got a better little hair stuff here. Reposition. Again, it's much easier to do this when it's cold, because when they're warm, they're very pliable, and it sticks more onto your nail rather than just that teeny little bit in the back. So warm it again. That's it. We don't want it to heat up too hot. Here's the 1 from the back to the tip, nice and smoothed down. Going back for the 2, I pulled back, pull a little forward, and the 3, again back and nice and forward. Okay, warm it once more, and take a little trip around with the cuticle pusher, and that's that. Trim off the excess again. Then you can hit it with the baggie. I'm going to show you a quick little something that is called ironing. Some people will heat up a metal spoon pusher to do this little trick, and the ironing trick is for in case you have any little wrinkles or anything on the sides and that the baggie method did not get rid of it for you, but usually it will. I don't have any wrinkles, but I'm just going to show it to you anyways. I don't use the spoon pusher to do my ironing. Instead, what I do is I use my cuticle scissors, or my rounded ones. I put them in front of my heater and I let them heat up. Not hot, just really nice and toasty. Give those a second. Because this way, when I set it on the wrinkle, I can rock my scissors while ironing. That's good. So I would place it against where I have maybe a wrinkle on the side, and then I would rock my scissors while pushing gently but firmly. And the heat would just push it right down. It would seal it right down, smooth out that wrinkle for you, just like that. And by doing this, you're not using the pusher to go back and forth in like a sawing motion, and you're not going to stretch the wraps, because these are just vinyl. So you really don't want to be pulling and tugging on them or stretching them out of shape, because they'll just shrink back up on you and you won't have a good fit anymore. All right, so now that that's done, let's file them. You can use a coarse, our Jamberry file or a medium grit file. First, you're just going to get off the excess, always in a downward motion. Never up and down, never side to side, always going downward. Begin to file off the excess, that little bit that is overhanging on your nail still. If you're really busy on your hands, or with your hands like I am, do this angled filing. You could go straight up and down if you want, but even still, I find the angled filing is best, because what happens when you do it this way is that you are filing the wrap so that just a teeny bit of your nail is showing past the wrap's edge. That way, when you're doing all of your regular daily chores or scratching your leg or whatever, it's your nail that's actually catching on things first rather than the wrap's edge, so you're not going to have that lifting that you may experience otherwise at the tips after, several days. Again, file the other one, downward only, and I like the angled filing. I always, because of the shape of my nails and how rough I am, I always put the base and top clear coats of the True Shine gel over my nails because it makes them incredibly durable. And I like the way it looks. It gives them a really polished salon kind of feel to them. It's just amazing. If you haven't tried it, you should. All right, and then I like to go in and finish with a glass file, because the glass file gives you a nice even tip, or an even edge, I should say, rather than a jagged one from using a coarse file. So you get a nice smooth edge. Whoops, getting off camera here. Whoops. And that way you don't have any little straggly bits of nail or wrap sticking to anything. And if you want, what I also do is, because sometimes you'll get like that little crazy bit of nail, that filed debris kind of flopping around on the underside of your nail, I'll set it on top of a buffer block and just slide it for a second. And it just gets rid of it for me. And that's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do another thing to them. It's best to not submerge your nails in any kind of hot water or anything like that for a few hours after, to let them really soak or settle on your nails. But you're good to go. Or you can gel over them like I do. And that's it. I hope this helped anyone maybe struggling with application, or any brand new jammers that just want to know how. All right, have an awesome day. Bye.